Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Medieval Wonders Readathon, also known as Wonderthon. And I have some things to tell you. Today, Lizzie from Lizzie's Literary Life is the host of this momentous readathon. And today was the premiere where she shared all the rules and everything that we would be doing this time. And I got to show y'all the notes that I took during that, during the premiere. I just scribbled down a whole bunch of stuff. Then I went back just now and read the whole rules and frequently asked questions section. And these are the notes that I took the second time. So more notes, but more organized, less chaotic than this one. I'm going to go over some of them with you and kind of talk through what I am planning to do to prep for this readathon. And at the same time, I will explain to you what this is. First of all, if you don't know what a readathon is, it is just usually a competition, whether it's against other people or against yourself or against a game or a clock or really anything that gets you to read a lot of books. And usually, not a lot, but usually more than you would normally read. Okay, so hopefully I will stick to what I have been reading because I have been reading a lot and more than what I wanted to, but that's okay. We're not going to talk about any of that stuff during this. We're just going to talk about what Wonderthon is, and I'm going to explain the parts of it that is going to matter because of my TBR. Okay, a TBR is a to be read list pile of books. Okay, the books that you want to read. That is your TBR, to be read. Okay, let me get out of the way. Not sure the best place to go, but this is where we're going to start. Medieval Wonders Readathon. Now, Ruby Red is one of the hosts of this, and she made all of the graphics. So anytime you see a picture of something, Ruby Red made it, and she's linked on all the stuff. I'm going to link Lizzie below at Lizzie's Literary Life because she's the one that created this, and so please go over and check her out. Number one, I'm going to say this at the very, very beginning. If you are confused by what I say, or if you watched Lizzie's video and you're confused about what this readathon is, but it sounds fun and you're interested in it, go over, join the team, and then I promise that your teammates and your team captain will walk you through everything, and it will be much easier to understand, especially once you start doing it and you're like, oh, okay, now I get why we're talking about this or what this means or whatever. I'm going to try to explain most of it here, but I don't want to get bogged down in a bunch of details. So if you have questions, please leave them down below, or like I said, go ask in Lizzie's video, come over to the Discord and ask. You can join the Discord without joining the readathon. You can ask some questions and then be like, yeah, that still seems like it's too much. I don't want to do it. The basic thing right now is that it runs from June 14th to June 29th. So that's 2 weeks and a weekend, an extra weekend. So it starts at midnight. Everything runs Eastern Standard Time in the US. So it starts at midnight on the 14th, which for me, that will be 11 p.m. on the 13th. I'll get to start an hour before midnight. But that means that on the 29th, actually, you know what? I think I get to gain an hour in this readathon. I just realized because at the beginning of the readathon, I am going to live in Central Time. And by the end of the readathon, I'm going to live in Eastern Time. So I get to start an hour early and finish an hour with everybody else on Eastern Time, like at midnight Eastern Time. So I get an extra hour and I'm going to use that extra hour. I can promise y'all. Okay. But only because I have to move during a readathon. Like, who thought this would be a good idea? But I'm not missing Wonderthon. I might miss other readathons while I'm moving. I'm not missing this one. I had so much fun last year. It is so much like chaos and daily check-ins, and it's so fun. So I couldn't not do it. What is the point, you're asking? What are we doing with this readathon? Well, I will tell you. There are 4 different locations in medieval England, and we are trying to build a castle. And first, we have to get a coat of arms. That's the first thing we're doing. And then we have to build our castle so that we can defend ourselves and fight against the other groups of medieval people. That's what we're doing. And we get those things built, and we earn those things by earning points by reading books. That's it. That is the basic thing of everything that we're doing. But because Lizzie is a math teacher, number 1, everything is math. This is like a math readathon. But the other thing she is really good at spreadsheets. So like I said, if you're intimidated by what is a modifier, what is the bonus, like all of those things, you don't have to worry about that. You enter your stuff into the Google form, which is very easy to do, and it calculates everything for you. So you are good to go. She even gives you your own personal point sheet. I can show you what it looks like right here. So you can actually put the book title in here, the page number. Is it part of your team genre or not? Are you having a feast, which I will explain? Did you, what does that say? Submitted with the form, like have you submitted it? And it'll tell you how many points you get and then what type of points you get, which we'll talk about that in a little while. And then you say where it was, like it was prompt number 2 under artillery, or it was archery in this genre with this color. Like you just fill out whatever it was. It has to be one of those 4 types, and it tells you your final points out here, how much that book's for. So what we start to do at some points is, you're really close to finishing a book, and you go talk to your team, and they're like, we need more points in infantry. And you're like, okay, I can make it work in infantry. Let me see how many points that's going to give me. Or they're like, maybe we want to do infantry or artillery. And you're like, okay, I will enter it for both of those and see which one gives me the most points, because it all depends on the prompts, the length of the book, the genre that it is, and all of that stuff as to determine how many points you get. So before I get ahead of myself, I just wanted to show you that it's really easy to track some of these things. So don't worry that you're not going to be able to do something or that you're going to mess something up or whatever. It is at the basis of it. You are reading books and you're submitting those books in a Google form, and that's it. Your team gets points. So let's talk about how you get points and what the points mean. I'm going to go in the order that they're presented on the form and also the order that we usually talk about them. And that means artillery is up first. Artillery is any graphic novel or manga, and it only goes in this category. If you read any other book, you can submit them in any of the other 3 categories as long as they fit the prompts. But for this, only graphic novels. Graphic novels cannot be any other category, only this one. So you see that it says 111, 222, 333, and 444. Okay. You get to pick a graphic novel that fits 3 of these prompts. And what we all want to do, of course, is get a 444, because that's going to give us 12 points for one graphic novel. However, I don't know that you can find one that has an adaptation and is also an adaptation, because I feel like if it is an adaptation from a book, then, maybe then if there's a movie adaptation, that's going to be adapted from the book and not necessarily from the graphic novel. So I'm not sure how you find one that has an adaptation and also is an adaptation. But if you can find that, let me know, because I'd like to add that to my list. I don't know what I'm going to be doing for this yet. I have some graphic novels that are on my 50 before 50 list. So that would be Earth Diver series, and that would also be Chew and Saga. Saga is a physical book that I own, so I will not be reading that during this readathon because, as I said, I am moving, and I'm definitely not taking a giant omnibus graphic novel thing with me. So Earth Divers and Spy Family, no, not Spy Family, that's also physical. Earth Divers and Chew are the 2 things that I am trying to finish, and automatically, because they are part of my 50 before 50, I'm going to get 1 point for them for continuing a series. I can also get 1 point on Earth Divers because Stephen Graham Jones is an author of color, and I own the books, so I could get another 2, which is 4 points for that graphic novel. So I don't know that that's what I want to go with. Maybe one of his has animals on the cover or plants on the cover. I can definitely get borrowed book for all of the Chew books because they're borrowed from the library, and they almost always have something on the cover, maybe animals or plants. That would be cool if I could get a borrowed book that had a weapon on the cover and then an animal or a plant, because I feel like that is 10 points, and that might be as high as I'm going to be able to get with these graphic novels. So that's what I do with this one. I sit down and I go, what graphic novels do I have that I can read? Because in my situation, I have to be able to get them on ebook. So can I borrow them? That's definitely worth more than if I own it already. And then, does it have an adaptation? Is it an adaptation? Does it have a weapon on the cover? Like, those are going to be the ones I'm going to be looking for first. And then I will move myself down to the 3s, then down to the 2s, and finally to the 1s. And what I like to do is have 5 books, 5 graphic novels that I know the point value I can get for them ahead of time. Just sitting to the side, like, okay, here are these 5. I can get this many points for them. And the other thing you need to know about graphic novels, just about every time you use them, for page count, for book count, for any of that stuff, they're going to count half, because graphic novels are generally faster to read. So it doesn't seem fair that you would get the same number of points for graphic novels as you do for a novel. So half page count. So if you read a graphic novel that has 100 pages, it's going to count for your team as a 50-page book. And it's going to count as half a book being read. So that will come into effect a little bit later, but that's what you need to know about graphic novels and the artillery prompts. So I don't know, like I said, exactly what I'm going to read for those yet, but that is my thought process and what I will be doing to look for those books. One final thing about the archery prompt is that, like I said, every team gets to pick 3. Well, something special happens with each of the teams when you finish your first feat, and you will get a coat of arms. And then you get to use these things in different ways depending on what team you are. So I'm not going through all the teams. You guys can read that yourself, see what the genre is, see what team it's associated with, all of that stuff. But the genre does play a factor as well in this, but we'll talk about that in a minute because that is across the board, no matter what category. For this, however, if your team has artillery as their category, once you guys get your coat of arms, which I'll explain how that happens in a minute, but once you do that, then instead of only picking 3 of these prompts, you can pick 5, and you get the points for 5 of these prompts. So 18 points, if you can make it the last 5 somehow, 3 4s and 2 3s, you would get 18 points for your team. So that is the bonus if you are in the artillery team, the category. The next board is archery prompts. I love this so much, but this could maybe be a little bit confusing. It's pretty straightforward when you first look at it, right? You pick a genre down the side. You've got fantasy, sci-fi, mystery, thriller, horror, romance, historical, nonfiction, literary, classic and poetry, and romantasy. And then you have all these colors across the top. Those are the colors of the book, the predominant color on the book. And then it tells you how many points. So if you're like, oh, I have this horror book and it's predominantly black, you look here and you're like, oh, that's only going to get me 5 points. But if I can find a horror book that has predominantly pink or green on the cover, that's going to get me 20 points. Okay, one thing to know, Editing Amanda is jumping in here. For these genres along the left side, that has to be the first genre listed on Goodreads or Storygraph. So the first genre is what you do for the archery prompts. For your team genre, it has to be the top 3, the first 3 genres listed on Goodreads. It will count. But for the archery prompts, it has to be the first genre listed. So what I do is I start looking through this whole thing and I go, ooh, 30 points for a romantasy with a predominantly black cover. That is what I want, is I want to find 5 romantasy books that have a black cover and put those on my potential for this because I'm going for the biggest scores. I'm not trying to read a bunch of red fantasy books and have a bunch of 5s. I'm not going for 5 points. I'm going for 30 points. If you are part of the archery category, if your team has the archery category, then once you guys earn your coat of arms, you can pick a book that has black anywhere on it that is romantasy and get those 30 points. It no longer has to be the predominant color on the cover. So I also notice that there are 30s in so many categories. How did I not see these? Purple fantasy. Oh, absolutely. A blue mystery thriller. Those are all 30 points. Where's another 30? Okay, that's it. Those are the 30s. But those are the ones that I'm going to be looking for. And then, like I said, if you're on the team that has archery as their category, the cover doesn't have to be purple fantasy. It just has to have purple on the cover, period. Doesn't have to be predominant, just on the cover. Okay, I think I have explained the archery prompts to death. That's it, though, by the way. It doesn't have to fit any kind of anything. The story doesn't have to involve anything. There are no prompts except the color of the cover. That's it. Then we move to what may have been the most complicated one last year. It definitely had the most number of questions that I saw from people, but it seems to me that it's pretty easy. And if you plan this out, you could do pretty much whatever you want to do with this one. This involves the last digit of the page number. So you see up here where you're starting, right under my head, where it says start. Let me get down some. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this, first of all, no restrictions on books for this, except they can't be graphic novels or manga. So no restrictions otherwise. You are going to read a book, any book you want to read, whatever it is, and the last number, it's 123 pages, you're going to move 3 spots. So you will be right here and you will get 10 points. Now, I'm not doing that. I am going to search books until I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 gets me 30. So I'm going to find the first book that ends in an 8. I don't care what it is. I just need it to end in an 8. And she said, if you don't have the physical book, go look at Goodreads. Don't go searching through Goodreads to find like an edition that nobody reads anymore that is not in the language that you read, just so it has the right page number. But go to Goodreads, find a book. I will find a book that ends in 8. That's what I'm going to read to get me 30 points on the Cavalry map. Then I'm going to find the next book that ends in 0, because if your book ends in 0, you can move 10 spaces or stay where you are. So I will stay there and get another 30 points for that book. Then I will get one that ends in 7 and make my way along here for 25 points. And because I can see in the next 10, there's not anything bigger than 25, I will get a next book that ends in 0 so that I can stay there and get another 25 points. Then I'll have to move along, and I might as well move as far as possible, because when you finish this and swoop back around over here, I do think that you get a bonus for looping, like for finishing the whole thing. So I will read another one that ends in 0 and move here to this 15. And then from 15, if I get a book that ends in 6, I will loop all the way around, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then sail back here to 6 and get 20 points again. So that is what I will do. I will go ahead and lay those books out. You really need to focus on page numbers for this one. So what I would recommend is, as soon as you have established a TBR, or even if you already have one, because these books literally have no requirement. There is no prompts to read. There is no genre requirement, nothing except the page number and just the last digit. So they don't have to be huge books. They don't have to be small books. They can be any size book that you want to read. It just has to end in that last number that you want. So this board to me is the most easy to manipulate. However, you have to read a book to finish each one. So the problem that I usually have with this is we get down to, we're all trying to submit books to be able to do an attack on someone. And it's like, get points. However you can get points in Cavalry, get them. And I'm like, oh, well, the only book that I have left ends in a 2 and I'm going to be stuck on a 5. They're like, that's all right. 5 points is better than no points. Go ahead and do it. And so it throws me off of my little schedule, but that's okay. I still like to have all of the page numbers of the books available so that I have a maybe list of my Cavalry books that will get me the most points on the Cavalry map. So I hope that I explained the way that works. And for the team bonus, if your team has this Cavalry map as your category, you don't have to pick the last page number. You can pick any page number in your number. So if you read a book that is 1,234 pages, you can pick a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4 as how far you want to move. So that is the bonus for the team that has Cavalry on as their category. And that's only after you earn the coat of arms. So you don't automatically get that bonus. At the beginning, everybody starts out the same on all 4 of the categories. But after you get the coat of arms, you get that special bonus. Finally, the infantry prompt. This one was the one that we had the bonus on last year. It wasn't called this, of course, but this kind of setup was the one that my team had the bonus on, and I loved it so much. So the main thing you need to know here is that you're flowing down this board. So you start out at the top on infantry prompts, and you're flowing down. You're either going to go on the left side of the board or the right side of the board. So you're going to pick an audiobook or an ebook or physical book. Then once you have chosen that, you have to go down to the next level, middle grade YA or adult book if it's audio, new release from 24 or 25, or backlist from 23 or before. So that is how you're going to go down the board. You can't do an audiobook that is a new release because you see, you're already on the audiobook path. You can't jump over to the other path. Does that make sense? I hope that it does. What you also need to know is that you can only go 2 spaces per book. So the first book, you can do the big board, audio or ebook, and then the second section. You can see over here to the side where it says 2 and 4. So you can only do 2 sections at a time. If for some reason you want to be weird and just submit an audiobook and not a middle grade YA or adult book, like I don't know what that would be, an audiobook, because otherwise it would have to like be a picture book that's an audio, and I'm pretty sure picture books have to fall under graphic novels. So I don't know how you would just read for 2 points. Like I don't know where you would find a book that would be an audio book that doesn't fit into one of those age ranges, or an ebook or physical book that was not released in 2025, 2024, 2023 or earlier. I feel like that's every book has been released in some of those times. So however you decide to do it, you are going to use 2 of these for 1 book. So I'm going, for myself, I know that I'm not going to take the time and read ebooks or physical books. I'm not going to do it. It goes slower for me. I never finish, and I'm doing a ton of driving over these 2 weeks because not only am I moving across the country, but I am also, before the move, the week before the move, I am driving for 4 days to go to a family reunion. So 4-day drive for the family reunion. Then I get back home and we're here for like 4 days, and then 5-day across country drive. So I need audiobooks, not ebooks or physical books. So I'm sticking to the left side of this board. Okay, this is Editing Amanda. I had to jump in here again because I don't feel like I did a good job explaining this, and I've already seen somebody else asking a question that I can answer right here that I didn't answer in what I originally did. So my plan for myself is I'm going to pick an audiobook that's either middle grade or adult, and then that's it. Once you have chosen your book that's going to cover 2 and 4, your book for 8 and 16 do not have to have anything to do with it. So if I pick a sequel over here under this side right here, under the middle grade YA, if I pick a sequel, it doesn't have to be middle grade or YA. I can pick a sequel that has an earth element on the cover, or a sequel that has a minimalist cover. It doesn't have anything to do with the 2 and 4 that you just did. You just have to stay on that side of the board. So I could pick a TBR veteran with a water element, and it doesn't have to be YA. It can be an adult book at that point. Also, vice versa, on the adult side, when I follow the chain down, I don't have to have an adult book with a person on the cover. It can be a middle grade book with a person on the cover set in the future. It can be an adaptation reread. It does not have to be an adult. It doesn't even have to be an audiobook. If you want to change from an audiobook, you can read an ebook or a physical book for your 8 and 16. The only recommendation, or definitely what I'm going to do, is make sure that 8 and 16 go together, because there's no point in you reading one book for 8 points and one book for 16 points when you can read one book and get 24 points together with both of them. So that's it. So what I might do is I might read an ebook or physical book that was released at some point. Like I might do a backlist that was released earlier, and then I can switch to audiobook and read a romance that includes a fire element. So I can do that. If I can find a really short ebook that was written before 2023, I can get these 6 points out of the way so that I can get 24 points again. So I hope that makes sense, describing it that way, because I was getting bogged down in this where I thought the ones underneath them had to go with them, like they had to be what the top ones were. And somebody specifically asked that question and they were told no. The 2 and 4 book has to match, and then the 8 and 16 has to match, but they can be any book. They don't have to be an audiobook that is adult. They don't have to be an ebook that was released in 24 or 25. That's just for the 2 and 4 points, not for the 8 and 16. Okay, back to it. Okay, I hope I have explained this. I'm going to go through, I'll probably pick 6 books because I want one book that's going to get me the 2 and 4 and one book that's going to get me the 8 and 16. And so I want to do maybe like 3 sets of those books. So that's what I will probably do there, is pick some sets. Now, if your team's category is infantry, you do not have to stay in your lane. You just read a 2-point and a 4-point book, and then an 8 and a 16. It does not matter where they are. You do not have to follow the chains. You do not have to follow anything. Like I said, this was mine last year, and I really liked it because I just picked the 16-point thing that I liked the most, the 8 thing that I liked the most, and then I just went through and read a lot of books in the 2, 4, 8, 16 like categories, and I kept reading the same ones over and over because yes, you can read the same prompts. You just have to read a different book for every time you do the prompts again. Okay, so now we have explained the 4 categories, and mostly that's the end of it. Like, if that's all you do is go, okay, you can ask your team, because like I said, I'm picking like 5 to 6 books for each of these categories that are possibilities for me to read. Either I own them already, I can get them from Libby pretty easily, and that's what I'll do. And then if my team says, okay, we have a couple of people that are focusing on one category, we need people focused on this category, then I can be like, okay, I'll step up and read some from that category. So really that's it. That's how you are a team player. You can also be a team player who says, hey, I have 20 volumes of this manga that I would like to get through over the next 2 weeks. So can you just put me down in the manga category, because that's where I'm going to be reading. And then you do that and you focus on that, because as a whole, your team has to do things. You don't have to read from every single category. So don't kill yourself being like, oh, I don't like any of those. I don't know if I can find a book that supports those. I'll end up having to read something I don't want to read, or I'll end up in a reading slump. Like, this is so wide open, especially the Cavalry board, that you can just be like, hey, I'm going to be over here circling this Cavalry map for the next 2 weeks, getting us as many Cavalry points as I can. And then you can do that because it's literally based on what book you can get, what the page ends in, and how you want to move around this board. That's it. There are no more restrictions on you for reading that. So don't let it deter you if you're like, I don't understand the rest of this. As a matter of fact, if you just want to be done, you don't need to know about the feasts and the bonus and the wonders and all of that stuff, the battles. You don't need to know about all of that. Number one, your people in your team are going to explain it to you as it's happening. I'm just going to hit the highlights. So if you've stuck around though, and you want to keep staying here, thank you. Thank you for hanging out and being a nerd with me, because I love this so much. Okay. The bonuses are going to be very simple, and we're going to go over them like this. Your team will have a genre. If you read a book in your team's genre, you get 3 points. Period. The end. So we're on this board right now looking at this board. If I land on this 30 right here and I read a book from my team genre, I automatically have 33 points. Then you get a modifier, and the modifier is based on the number of pages in the book that you read. So I'm not going back through that whole percentage discussion that I had. Needless to say, it is already calculated on your spreadsheet. You will just put that you got 33 points on your Cavalry map, or you landed on a 30 spot on your Cavalry map, and you read in your genre, and your book was however many pages, get you that modifier, and it will automatically calculate it for you. In the rules and the FAQ, she does have the modifiers listed right here. So you don't get very many points if you read a book that's less than 49 pages. You get a lot of points if you read a book that is over 600 pages. The only other time these come into play, I will go ahead and tell you now, is when your team is having a feast. Now, you could have a feast the whole entire month if you can get people on your team to read longer books. You can have a feast. And while you're having a feast, every multiplier, every book that you read gets bumped up 1 level. So if you read a book that fits into this level, the 300 to 349 category, you get a multiplier of 1. So that's it. It's just 1, right? Basic, just 1 time. However, if you are having a feast for your 300 to 349, you're going to get 1.1, as if you were reading a book that's 50 pages longer than what you are. That's in essence what it is. You're getting like a 50-page bonus. For the 600 plus, you're going to get 2.2 instead of just a 2. That's what you're doing. So I'm not going to talk about the modifiers again because I've already explained the only thing that really matters is every time you enter a book, if you can try to read a book that is between 300 or that is longer than 300 pages, you're always going to get at least what you earned and maybe more than what you earned for the points. For the 33 that you had before, if you have to multiply the 33 times 0.9, you're only going to get 90% of the 33. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. If not, like I told you, you don't have to do any of that. It's all done on the spreadsheet for you because Lizzie is a spreadsheet genius. There are 3 big things that happen in this game. First is wonders. So I told you before that you only get the bonuses. I just want this picture to be up here. I don't know why. Okay, so I told you before, you only get the bonuses when your team has gotten their coat of arms. And the second thing you're trying to do, which I told you at the beginning, is build a castle. And that is your second wonder. So Lizzie will tell you, like, you guys have gotten a wonder. And the way you get that is that you have to average, for your coat of arms, you have to average 1,500 pages per person on your team. So that doesn't mean that you have to read 1,500 pages. It means that total your team has to average 1,500 pages per person. So you might have some people that have read 3,000 pages so far and some people that have read 200 pages. Like, it's going to vary wildly on your team, but it is divided by the number. So let's say you're on my team and I've read we'll say 600. I've read 600 pages. You have read 1,000 pages. So our average, we add those together, that's 1,600. We divide by 2 because there are 2 of us. Our average is 800 pages. So that's what we do. We take all the page numbers of everybody's books, divide it by the number of people on our team. Now, yes, if we do have 12 people on our team and 2 of them never submit anything, we still get divided by 12 until the very end of the readathon. And then that's when things get wildly scary, when Lizzie goes in and recalculates all the scores based on those people being gone. So through the whole readathon, we're divided by 12 because there are 12 people on our team, but only 10 people are submitting. And then at the very end, those 10, everything gets divided by 10 instead of 12, which means our number goes up. our score goes up, which is great for us, not great for other people. So if that happens on a team against you, it's not great for you. It's actually scary. That's what happened last year. Anyway, those are the wonders, and that's how you get them. The first one, the coat of arms, is 1,500 pages per person average. The second one is 4,000 pages averaged per person on your team. So those are big numbers, and Lizzie keeps you updated on how close you're getting to the wonders. Actually, we can see those stats in our team chat. We can see those for all the teams, how close they're getting to their wonders. But that's the only thing we can see about all the teams, unless you're having a feast. So let's talk about the feast. We just talked about average page length, page number for the wonders. Now we're going to talk about average page length of each book. So before we just talked about total pages divided by the number of people on your team. Now we're talking about total pages divided by the number of books finished. So you read a book that has 20 pages. Somebody else reads a book that has 100 pages. That's 120 pages total out of 2 books. You're only averaging 60 pages. So yes, they read a book that was 120, but you only read one that was 20. They read one that was 100. You only read one that was 20. So now your average is down. You have to average 300 pages per book to have a feast. So I already told you about the page modifier. When you're having a feast, you get extra credit for your page numbers. And the other thing you get is you get to see other teams' averages for books per player. So now here's another average. You take all the books that you have read, that your team has read, and you divide it by the number of players on your team. And when you average 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, any derivative of 3, when you equal that, you have earned a battle. When you've earned enough for your team to have a battle, so when you're at 3, 6, 9, and you'll know because you can see it, and people in your team will be chatting about it like, oh my gosh, we're so close to a battle, and you will find out, and then you'll find out as soon as you earn it, and then you say, are we going to declare? And you talk about it in your team like, yes, we want to fight somebody in this battle. Then you've got to decide what team are we going to fight and what category are we going to declare the battle in. Like, we think we're strong enough in artillery that we're going to try to fight them. We have a lot of artillery points. We're going to fight somebody and just hope, we don't know how many points they have. Just hope they don't have a lot of artillery points. If they do and they beat you, then you lose the battle. And here's what happens if you win the battle, okay? And I'm going to go off of very general points right here, okay? So let's say that you attack another team and they win. They are going to get 5% of your points in that category. So if you have 5 points, they're going to get 1 of those points. That's what they're going to get. If you have 5 points in that category. Because you lost, you're going to get 5% of the difference. So you had 5 points. Let's say they had 7 points. So you're going to get 5% of 2 points because that's the difference in y'all's score, 5 and 7. So that's how the winning and the losing works. Lizzie does all of that at 11 a.m. Eastern time every day. Lizzie will come on and she will say, no battles have been declared today. Or she will say, 2 battles have been declared today. And then like, oh my gosh, we didn't declare a battle. So what is happening? 2 different teams are fighting. Are they going to be fighting against us? Also at 11 a.m., everything is locked in. What books you have submitted by 11 a.m. in the morning is it. If you can submit books that next hour, but they don't count toward that battle. So where all your points are at 11 a.m. in every category is what happens for the battle. So if somebody battles you, you can't do anything about it. Like, you're just there hoping that you have enough points in whatever category to defend against their battle. So that is how it happens. And did I say earlier that if you lose, you gain 5% of the difference? You lose 5% of the difference. So you would have lost, in my example, 5% of 2. That's how much would be taken from your total, from your team. Okay, I don't think there is anything else to talk about. I talked about the wonders, the 2 wonders. Oh, I didn't tell you this. So when you build your coat of arms, or when you get your coat of arms, you get that bonus in your category. When you build your castle, you do get another bonus, but Lizzie keeps it a secret, and you don't find out about it until you actually get the castle built. And once you get the bonus for your team, that secret bonus, nobody else knows what it is. So you have no idea. When other people build their castles, you have no idea what bonus they just got, because it's all a secret. There are multiple bonuses. I think this time there's a bonus for each team. She already has it set ahead of time. And so when you get your castle, that's your team's bonus, and it's not the same as anyone else's. Okay. I think that's everything. I feel so good about where I am. No, I have not picked out a single book for it. However, going through and talking with y'all about it has at least helped me solidify in my head what I'm looking for in the books that I have already chosen to read for June, in the books that I'm trying to read for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. Those books that I need to get done in the month of June, I now know where I could potentially put them and start to look for. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I know I'm putting this out way before the thing starts, but I wanted all of us to have enough time to chat about it, ask any questions, and it's still not too late to join. I will put a link, like I said, to Lizzie's channel down below. It's been on the screen the whole time. It is Lizzie's Literary Life. And so I will put that down below. Go over there, follow her on the Discord, subscribe to her channel. I do not know how she does not have more subscribers, so please go subscribe to Lizzie. And I think that's all. Thank you again for watching. Please try to put some medieval, even if it's a castle, a castle, or a coat of arms, like something like that down in the comment section. I would love to see them in there. It'll make me so happy. And that's all. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you're doing Wonderthon, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.